Welcome to the Fat Guys with Smokers podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm John. We're a couple of overweight barbecue enthusiasts trying to share our love for sweet and smoky food with the world.
Thanks for hanging out with us as we talk about life, share recipes, successes, and failures that have all led to our love of cooking outdoors. Welcome, everybody, to the Fat Guys with Smokers podcast. I'm Mike, here with John.
Heyo.
John, I feel like we're just saying this. I feel like it's been a while. I mean, life's busy and schedules and stuff. We really haven't been as consistent as we were this summer and when we record. And so it feels like we haven't talked forever.
Yeah, we keep doing these tonight's Wednesday. Mm-hmm. We're recording for Wednesday for tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then we'll do one on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then we go to the next Wednesday after that. So we end up with these big gaps. So
it seems like, to all of our avid listeners, it seems very consistent to them. But to us, it's like, oh man, it feels like forever since we've talked.
I know, life has been busy. And then I freaking got sick, man, in the middle of the summer. It was
wild.
It was like full on, not the flu, but that same crappy kind of running a fever, lots of congestion. Everyone really wants to hear about this.
I think it's important that everybody know that you are healthy and well now.
I am.
Or at least on the road to healthy and well.
Hey, man, I'm on antibiotics and keeping the world safe.
Heck yes.
One more resistant strain out there.
Well, I'm glad you're doing well. What have you been cooking, John? You got anything? Like I said, it's been a while since we've talked. I can't remember if I've talked about my last cooks or if we...
You know what I did on Sunday? This is one that's just super easy. I may have talked about it before, but it is quickly becoming a family favorite.
Okay.
Is a bone-in pork loin.
Interesting. Go on.
Yeah, so think same cut that you make like a crown roast out of.
Okay.
It's hard to find a whole one that's that long.
Okay.
But it's a pork loin with baby back ribs still attached to it, basically.
Interesting.
But it's a really pretty cut of meat. You French the bone, so you've got this bare bone sticking off of it.
Yeah.
But it's a fairly small piece of meat. It's pork, so it's less dense than beef. Mm-hmm. And you cook them hot and fast. It's like an hour at 350, 375.
Oh, really?
And it's juicy and delicious. And pork is getting a bad, it's not getting enough attention.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever made that before. Hot and fast, huh? But it's just the pork loin with the baby back ribs still on it?
Yeah, basically.
But you don't do 3-2-1 method or you normally
No.
With
It's
ribs.
because really it's a pork loin more than anything.
Right.
So 375 goes for about an hour till it's 145, and it's just so juicy, really good flavor. I did it with the Traeger pork and poultry rub.
Okay.
And then the Traeger apricot barbecue sauce. Mm-hmm. And just put that on at the end and let it glaze up, and it's...
I've never tried that apricot barbecue sauce. Is it good?
It's really good.
That sounds good.
Especially on pork. If you've ever had apricot chutney, it's not quite as peppery as a chutney would be. But it's a really good flavor with pork.
I might have to try that. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, I was a big fan.
I like to do I've done a peach glaze on pork and stuff really good, but apricot just sounds next level. That'd be good.
Yeah, so we did that. Did some German potato salad with it, and just real simple meal, but it was...
Did you dump the German potato salad all over the deck?
I did not dump the German potato salad all over the deck.
Interesting.
Because I didn't take it outside. I did it inside.
Oh, that was probably wise.
And Haley was there.
Nice. And you like German potato salad. You don't like normal potato salad, right?
I don't, because German potato salad doesn't have the mayonnaise and egg.
That's right.
It's vinegar based.
More crowdy, kind of.
Yeah, it's so you cook bacon, and then in the 7-year-old's calling me.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, nothing like a little butt dial from my 7-year-old.
I like it.
And now he's going to do it 5 more times.
Oh, good.
But so you cook bacon. In the bacon grease, you add. Sorry, I'm going to cough. I can feel it coming. You add Dijon mustard, apple cider vinegar, and some sugar. You cook that together. Then you add garlic, and that becomes the dressing.
I've never had that. You've described it before. It sounds amazing.
It's if you like that apple cider vinegar flavor, you'll be all over it. And it's served hot, and it's just it's really, really good.
Nice. I made a pork loin. I don't think we've talked about it, but when we had Adam from this Juke and Q on, he hooked us up with a sweet care package. We talked about that, I think.
Yeah, the smoked junkie.
But I used that smoked junkie. Man, on a pork loin, it was phenomenal. It was
so
I think
good.
you described, and I can't remember if he described it this way as well, but it's like the deliciousness on a barbecue chip. It was just kind of that type of deal is what I was thinking, and it was really good.
Yeah, he talked about that, and 100% that's the flavor of that rub.
Yeah, it really is. It's really good.
Yeah, it's super good.
My kids were into it too.
Were they?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you shared some of that with me.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. I did a pork shoulder with the smoked junkie on it.
Yeah.
And it was wicked good.
Dude, you shared that with me with coleslaw, and oh man, it's a good sandwich.
Yeah. Sunday dinner is one of those things that it has the potential to just be such a complicated meal with all these things. I've really been trying to just keep it simple. Mm-hmm. Protein one side, bare bones, have it be good, have it be a meal, but not have it chew up the whole day.
Yeah, you don't want to stress everybody out, and I agree.
So 1 week I smoked a pork shoulder on my ugly drum. Thank you very much, Mike.
Nice.
Interestingly enough, how did I do that? Oh, I left just the valve open, the ball valve. Mm-hmm. It was probably 3/4 of the way open.
All the caps were closed?
All the caps were closed, and I just left it 3/4 of the way open. I'm just going to let it burn out. Mm-hmm. The next day, when I got home from work, it was still running at about 180.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, it ran forever.
Consistency.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
But yeah, I did a pork shoulder out there. It was really good. Mm-hmm. It was fast. It was just delicious. But we did that, and we had potato chips, coleslaw, and pork, and cheap hamburger buns.
Yeah.
And it was, like you said, one of the best pork sandwiches I've had in a very long time.
So good. So simple, and it's just so good.
Yeah.
My sweet wife will always cook a big Sunday meal, and I feel like I'm the only one that ever partakes in all of the different things. My kids just want a little bit of this and that, so simplicity is the way to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can get fancy if you want,
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with it if you've got the time.
But even with the simplicity, I did a bone-in pork roast with French. It was a very pretty cut of meat to look at with, potatoes with parsley sprinkled on top of it was a visually appealing.
Yeah.
And it took me an hour.
Yeah. That's sweet. How long did it take you to French the bones?
It came Frenched.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I cleaned them up a little bit, but and I just bought it.
I feel like that could take a little bit of time to.
Yeah, if you've never done it, it does. But no, I bought it at Costco.
Nice.
It was $16 and it fed my family of 5, my grandpa and mom and dad. Mm-hmm. So we're at 8, and then we had 2 lunches, so 10 servings for $16 of meat and another, $10 $10 probably total, like
Yeah.
$25 for 10 people. Like
That'll work.
that's a very affordable meal.
You can't go out to eat for that.
No, I went to Arby's tonight, and $40 later, like piecing together stuff off the value menu, we left.
Seriously, man, we used to always just hit up McDonald's or whatever, and $20 feed our whole family. Now, those days are long gone.
Dude, I don't know what I'm gonna do when my boys are teenagers.
Oh, dude, they're on their own. We just gotta kick them out of the house as soon as they turn teenagers. Just Oliver Twist it. Just figure it out, you know.
I had a buddy whose dad, like, even in church one time, like, stood up and he was like, when they turn 18, they're out of the house. And like, I remember thinking, like, what a grump this guy was. Like 14, it's cool. Like, they can go, right?
Yeah, I mean, seriously. Yeah, I get him now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I understand a little bit better too.
All right. We're kind of out of order. What are we doing? Shout out.
Shout out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna audible.
I love it. We talked about somebody, now he's going to spring something on me, everybody. I'm hearing this for the first time with you.
Well, we talked about her too.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's true. All right.
But I
was afraid you're going to pull somebody inappropriate out of left field or something.
No, but that's a different story.
Yikes.
No, I've had a hankering for brisket, and we'll talk a little bit about this later. But if anyone thinks their cell phones don't listen to them, brisket videos started popping up on my Instagram feed. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how we haven't shouted her out before.
Yeah.
Jess Piles is a big name in barbecue. She's an Aussie from down under.
Oh, okay.
Who lives in Texas and is... I think I've talked about her before. She's the one that's like got a master's in meat science that she went and got to like better understand where cuts of meat come from. And
didn't you say like their book is kind of what helped you out your first little bit? The 321 ribs or something, wasn't she associated with that?
No, I don't think so.
Or AmazingRibs.com or something.
That's this isn't. Oh, okay. That's not her. That's Meathead.
My bad.
Yeah, Meathead helped me out a big time. But no, Jess, her brand is Hardcore Carnivore. So she's got Hardcore Carnivore Black, which is a rub that's got activated charcoal in it. That awesome color you can get on your meat and add some good flavor there too. But she's got just an awesome video about how to trim a brisket. And this is something you've talked about before. Mm-hmm. Trimming a brisket's intimidating, especially the first time you're doing it, and there's so much fat, and it's such an expensive piece of meat that you're a little bit like, I don't want to trim this off. Like, this is expensive. I want to get as much as you can, but you've had the experience, like, you kind of have to.
Well, that meat is just worthless. Like, once it's too fatty or too greasy, and it's just not worth trying to keep.
Yeah. So... but she does, and like the thumbnail of this is how to smoke a brisket part 1 trimming, is what it shows up like in the tile of Instagram. But she does a really good job going through talking about the different parts of the fat that you want to cut off and what this weird flap on the top can do. And, so if first time you're trimming a brisket, go check out Jess Piles. She's got an awesome video. She's got lots of other cool things too. And she does a lot of over the fire cooking. That
I'm into it.
Yeah.
I like that.
She does a lot of cool stuff. So Jess gets our shout out this week. And we'll save the other one for another time.
Love it. She's got quite the brand too. She's got all kinds of rubs and sauces I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's really expanded. But she goes into a lot of stuff, and she talks about the meat and the muscle that it is, and like how to treat the muscle to get the most tender cut out of it.
Interesting.
Plus she does some interesting, like she talks about different things, because she's got this perspective from being an Australian. They think about meat very different than we do here in the U.S.
Do things differently, huh? Interesting. Yeah. Huh.
But
I'm going to have to check her out a little more. I'm interested in all of her. I mean, it's cool to have somebody. I mean, when I post things, it's like, hey, here's what I do. Like, do whatever you want, but here's my experience. It's cool to have somebody with that knowledge, that background, because you're getting good information. And
I know. I kind of want to go back to school and get a master's in meat science.
We've talked about going to the local tech college and doing butchering or whatever. I think that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be way cool.
If we had the time, that would be really fun, but not quite.
Not quite
feasible with our time.
Well, when our podcast takes off,
yeah,
and we make lots of money, then we'll have time to go and do it. And when we have to pay for tuition, then it's a business expense.
I love it. I love it.
You just write it off.
Tax. Have you seen that?
You just write it off.
Right. Well, okay. Who pays for it?
Nobody. You just write it off.
Have you watched that?
Not very much of it.
I haven't either. I've watched the first episode.
I've watched a couple of episodes of it. I've watched that segment because I've heard it quoted so many times.
It's a funny, popular sound that comes up on different videos.
But it's very much in that nobody could possibly be this stupid type of comedy that just annoys me.
That's fair.
So
Will Ferrell-esque comedy, if you will.
I think that's why it took me so long to get into Parks and Rec.
Really?
Nobody's as stupid as Andy is.
Oh, Andy. You love him, though.
He's
very endearing.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of not having any time for anything, today we're going to kind of talk about cooking small for those last-minute ideas or just cooking for a smaller family, right?
Yeah, it's, I mentioned, I've been craving brisket.
Yeah.
Because I want to make one specific leftover meal with brisket.
Mm-hmm.
But a brisket is, one, it's an expensive cut of meat. I'm going to spend at least $50 on it, probably.
Yeah.
And that's if I find a small,
that's a
crappier
deal.
one.
Uh-huh.
It wouldn't be uncommon for me to drop $60 or $70 on a brisket.
Easily. Yeah, you could spend significantly more if you're going higher grade and stuff, too.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I'm going to start it at 10 o'clock at night, get up at, 5 or 6 to wrap it, and it's not going to be done till 11, and then it's got to sit there, and rest for a couple hours.
Right.
So it's a huge time commitment. And then I literally have 12 pounds of meat.
Yeah.
That Haley's a good sport. She'll eat brisket. Beef is not her favorite thing.
Really?
Yeah, it's her one flaw.
I have zero room to talk. My wife won't eat any meat, but she has no flaws. And I want to go on record as saying that.
I'll make sure to
Thank you.
Make the soundbite and send it to her.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Brisket. Too much brisket.
Too much brisket. So Haley doesn't really help me eat it. My boys are starting to get more
yeah,
give me the meat.
Yeah, my kids are getting into it.
Robbie ate one of my leftover pork servings that I was planning on taking to work. I came home and he's got the bone, eating this giant pork chop.
And I'm like a savage.
I'm like, dude, that was my lunch. I came home from work just for that piece of meat. And he's like, should have come home sooner.
Nice.
It's you're...
Baller move, Robbie. Baller move.
For 7 years old, he's got, just the brass ones on that kid.
Yeah, I've got one of those. That's funny.
So, how do you, what do you do? Because there's a lot of stuff, pork shoulder, same thing. You're going to have 8 or 9 pounds of meat. And pork shoulder, a pork shoulder goes on forever.
It does. And I think that's more common because, there is a big expense with a brisket. Pork shoulder is reasonably priced.
Yeah,
you can get
cheap.
it for pretty cheap. I've made several and then eat pork sandwiches for lunch for weeks, Yeah. So I'd like to know, how do you, what do you do?
No. So a couple of options, and we've talked about, how to save meat. I've got a food saver. I cook a pork shoulder and, just half of it I immediately freeze, just to help with that. But there's some cheats that you can do. For brisket, I'm not going to cook a whole brisket. I'm going to cook I'm going to cook a chuck roast.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, chuck roast is, some people in the community call it poor man's brisket. because it's got a lot of the same characteristics of the point.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell a difference, but especially if you're going to put it in something or make tacos or something like that, like, you can get by with the chuck roast. And chuck roast is delicious. I'm not, like, talking crap on it. Brisket's next level, but chuck roast is really good.
You can make some of the best burn ends you've ever had out of a chuck roast.
Yeah, my brother's done that before. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So you do that, and it's got a whole host of, like, benefits of what would have taken me, anywhere from 12 to 16 hours to cook. I can probably get done in about 3.
Yeah.
Like, it cooks a lot faster.
There's a lot less that has to break down inside of it. And,
Yep. So, looking for other cuts of meat, I think is a big unlock there.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like, you don't have to do, I think pork shoulders may be a little bit more unique. I mean, you could probably get by using a sirloin. That's got a little bit more fat. But I think you're going to be hard pressed to get a pork loin to shred the way you want it to.
Yeah. And I mean, price wise, it's hard to beat a pork shoulder. Like, it's not like you're going to save money going with a different cut.
Yeah.
I will say though, Whit got I think it was just a big pork loin, like good sized pork loin, and she cut it in half. And so we made half of it one day and half of it the next day, or not the next day, but a few days later. It worked out pretty good. And it's still, I mean, it's not like there's different parts to it. Like, you cut it in half, you have half a pork loin and half a
you're
pork
talking
loin,
about like the big long one.
Yeah, big long, like, I don't know, 2 feet wide or 2 feet long or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We, man, when we were first starting out, like, we lived off of those things.
Yeah.
Because they were like $8-9. And, like, without trying real hard, you could get like 2 or 3 decent roasts out of it for a couple, like, especially when you're a newlywed couple. Like, for 2 or 3 people, you could cut these little roasts, and then you could cut chops out of the end of it.
Chops out of that. I know that there's another part of the pork that's a little bit better, but I love pork chops off of a pork loin. Just phenomenal.
So, I think looking for that and just cooking smaller pieces. Like, I think that may be the one place that the Costco boneless pork shoulder, like, probably would work pretty well. Yeah. You could cut that in half, cook half of it at a time. And also, like, just pulling the shoulder out is going to have it cook a lot faster.
Yeah. We've used those when we did, I think it was Kyle's baptism, I can't remember. But I cooked pulled pork for the thing afterwards, and we just got, like, a boneless pork roast, which I think was just a pork shoulder. They just portioned out. There's no bone in it. They cook way fast. They're a lot smaller. I feel like a lot less waste. If I were to cook one of those for my family, we wouldn't have to worry about getting all the stuff in the freezer and stuff. Like, it's reasonably, and it's pretty well priced too. I think we got it at Macy's, but I can't remember.
Oh.
But
Nice.
Yeah, it was good, and it cooked faster than a whole pork shoulder, obviously. So
yeah, just using smaller cuts of meat.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking, John, is, and I feel like we've talked about this before, but when you are cooking something, do you kind of plan ahead? Like, we're going to use this for this, and this week. Or, like, we had Haley on here talking about leftovers, but explain that again for all of our new listeners. What's the best way to kind of utilize those leftovers?
Hang on 1 second. Let me cough.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. He's back.
And I'm back.
Nice.
Yeah, so especially if I'm going to do a big cook, like, that's going to be the protein for the whole week.
Right. So you put it in all kinds of different things.
Yeah, and most of the time it's like Saturday night, Sunday night, sitting on the couch with Haley. It's like, all right, well, let's put in the grocery order for the week. How people lived before we had Walmart grocery pickup.
Oh, dude, seriously.
I don't know.
It's phenomenal.
And I don't know what it was for, we ended up with Walmart Plus again.
Oh.
So it's delivery without a fee. You've got to tip them. Supposedly, there's like in the big metro areas, there are Walmart drivers, and there's like a nut for like $40. You can pay for an upgrade, and they'll like come into your garage and like put your food in an outside fridge or something.
Oh, wow.
But if you do that, you also don't have to tip them. So, come on, Logan.
I've never heard of this.
Let's get a little bigger, Logan.
No, thank you.
Actually, let's not.
Yeah,
I can
stop.
deal with picking up my groceries on the way home from the office.
Yeah.
But we'll sit down and we'll say, okay, we had a brisket tonight. It was great, fun. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And then we spend the whole, like, the rest of the week, it's, okay, we're gonna do tacos or nachos, and we're gonna use the meat from that. We're gonna do stir fry, and the meat's gonna be brisket, or it's gonna be pulled pork or whatever. We're gonna have breakfast, and we make that plan all through the week so that hopefully, as we go through the week, we're consuming whatever that protein is. So it's not just sitting in the fridge for weeks at a time and then getting thrown away.
Well, and there's so many things you can do with it, so it's not just the same thing every night.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned tacos and nachos. Whatever I cook is going in a breakfast burrito at some point that week.
Dude, hash.
Like, I love it.
I love hash.
It's so easy, and it's different. It has just kind of a different, I don't know. Yeah. Love a hash, and I just throw it in a tortilla and call it a delicious breakfast burrito. Whitney will put it in pasta. Pretty game changing. Like just simple pasta, throw some broccoli in or whatever, and then some canned sauce or homemade sauce, whatever.
Man, we made some chicken ranch pasta this week. That, I mean, my 4-year-old Clay, like he'll eat. His downfall is he snacks all day long. Like I'm always finding that kid in the pantry eating something.
Nice.
He had like 3 helpings. And the next day at like 10 o'clock was like, is it lunchtime yet? I want some more pasta.
Right on.
But, yeah, and it was like just super basic. Had some of that smoked junkie on some chicken. We made a pan sauce and tossed it with some cheese and pasta noodles.
Yeah, easy. Easy, but also kind of changes the flavor profile so you're not just eating the same thing over and over and over. Pizza is another thing.
Oh, pizza's a great one.
Wit is great at utilizing pizza. Like, she made a barbecued chicken pizza that was one of the better things that I've ever eaten in my life. And I think that you could make that work for almost any other meat.
Oh.
So
is she down with barbecue pizza? Like,
she won't eat it. She makes delicious stuff, but then she won't eat it. It's very selfless. Very selfless act of love. I want to go on record again as saying she has no flaws. So
we've talked about that we need to get better on our social media game.
Yeah.
I have an idea for my post this week.
Yikes. I'm slightly concerned just by the evil laugh. You're going to make yourself cough again.
Probably am, actually. That's the worst part, man. I never used to get sick.
Yeah.
You know that?
See, I was sick all the time as a kid. And as an adult, I still get sick. Like as a teacher, I feel like it comes in cycles. Like some years I'm sick from September to March, and then other years I do okay. But
yeah, I remember being sick a lot in elementary school. And then, like, yesterday was our anniversary. We've been married for 14 years.
Congratulations.
She hasn't killed me yet. But in those 14 years, like, I think I've been sick more in the last 14 months than I have in the, 14 years we've been married. Like, it's been a weird one. So, but it's too bad Whit won't eat.
Yeah.
Does it make you nervous when she won't eat her own cooking?
No, not really. Just because it's what I'm used to, But, man, for not liking meat, she makes some delicious stuff. Like, so good. And I'm just like, hey, today's the day. If you wanted to try it, today would be a great day for it. But she's not into it. I don't know why. It's a texture thing, she says. She doesn't really mind the smell or the taste, but the texture is what really throws her off.
So right now, all I can think about is like barbecue pizza, red onions, some parsley, barbecue meat,
bacon, chicken. Dude, I mean,
a little provolone Mott's mix melted over the top of it.
Easy stuff. I wondered how it would taste in the smoker too. I think it would change the game a little. She just made it in the oven. It was really good, but I wonder if the smoker would just give it a little bit more of a hint.
I feel like we need to pause this episode and go get a pizza.
That sounds great. Let's do it.
If only.
And we're back. That was the greatest pizza. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be hilarious.
That would be. We come back with barbecue sauce all over our face, just like, oh, hey everybody.
Little cheese stuck in the beard.
Yeah, half asleep in a food coma.
No. But yeah, I think those are your two options: is either go smaller on your protein, find an alternative cut, and I think there's a lot of options there, especially in the beef realm. Or go big still, but plan your whole week around it.
Yeah. And I'm going to be a hypocrite right now because I am terrible at this, but planning ahead, I think, is the most important thing. Like, you can't come home from work and be like, oh, what are we going to do? You know, you kind of got to have a plan and make those, but.
Yeah, you can't do it day of, but I do think you can set yourself up.
Yeah.
For, hey, tomorrow I want to have something. What are we going to do?
Yeah, for sure.
I think there are different kinds of cuts that you can just have in the freezer.
Yeah, always have, and I know that you can use them for sure.
Like, there's almost always a pork loin in my freezer, chuck roast. Okay, I mean, it's my house, so there's a brisket, a pork shoulder, like... They're all out there, but the brisket and pork shoulder take a couple of days to get thawed the right way.
You got to think about those ones a little before.
But yeah, I think if you've got a chuck roast, a pork loin, and some boneless, skinless chicken thighs, you can have a really good meal tomorrow for just about anything you want to have.
Yeah, for sure. I also just love burgers. I love having burgers in the freezer.
You're a big burger fan, man.
I am a big burger guy. Yeah, I grew up eating burgers. And I mean, my mom grew up on a ranch, and so we'd get like a quarter of a beef every year. And most of it was ground beef and ground beef patties. So we ate burgers quite a bit. And I love a good burger. That's my comfort food.
Yeah. I've gotten more on board with it.
Yeah.
I worked on it this summer and had a couple of different burgers that have been pretty good.
I feel like we could do a whole episode on just gourmet stuff you could do to a burger that would change it, but
I like that idea.
That would be kind of cool. We'd need to do it first, though.
What do you do with ground beef? Because the only thing that, like, there are two things that come into mind that I'm like, yeah, that'd be pretty good. One of them's tater tot casserole.
Okay.
The other is just hamburger gravy.
Okay.
Over rice.
Both of those things are delicious. We use it for tacos a lot. Like, it's not as good as like chicken or whatever, but it's pretty good. And Whitney will put it in pasta, like a lasagna type of deal, or just a pizza sauce or whatever. I like to shape burgers out of ground beef. Yeah. Yeah.
Burgers are the natural use case. Obviously. I think of it. I'm not a big ground beef fan.
What did I have?
Because those are literally like the only two things that I think to have.
There was now I can't think of. Oh, never mind. I guess it wasn't ground beef. It was, I think it was just a chuck or something. But we flattened it out and made chicken fried steak out of it. It was really good. But I don't think it was ground beef.
Yeah, it was probably cube steak.
That's what it was, cube steak. Thank you. It's good, though. Yeah, I grew up just eating ground, because we got that quarter beef. My mom would put it in we had all kinds of casseroles and things like that.
Yeah, we ate it a ton as a kid. Yeah. And I think it's a texture thing. It's probably a fat guy thing, because I inhale my food and I don't really chew it, and then I end up with it stuck in the back of my throat and those like weird folds of.
Right.
It's probably way more information than anybody wants.
I was thinking about that today. Do you like sometimes just find yourself mindlessly eating? Like, this is just a fat guy thing. Like, I got home from work yesterday. Whitney had gone and gotten a dozen donuts with the kids, and they saved me 2. And I sat down, started to eat, and was just thinking about what I had to do. I swear to you, it was like 2 seconds, and I had eaten both of those donuts. And I was like, good heavens, I didn't even get to enjoy it. Like, I just...
Oh, no, I enjoy it, but, like, I was talking with my doctor. He's like, so, how's your weight doing, John? I was like, shut up, Bruce.
I don't want to talk about it.
I was like, you know how it's going. You've got the number right in front of you. It's going up. But he's like, look, man, like, your brain has figured out, like, food equals dopamine. He's like, I'm not saying you're addicted to food, but, like, the same rush people get from doing cocaine, like, your brain has figured out how to get that when you eat a cookie.
Yeah.
I was like, so it's like I'm doing drugs when I eat cookies because that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is sweet.
He's like, so yeah, your body wants to eat and it likes eating. I was like, well, crap.
Is that really a bad thing, though? I feel like that's good for survival. Let's be honest.
I think it's good for
we're higher evolved.
We're more highly evolved.
Yes, we're more highly evolved than everyone else. I think that's what's going on.
I like that.
And the doctor's jealous, and so he's obviously making all this crap
He's
up.
kind of pudgy, too, so.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I called him out on it.
He just wants to be where we are.
Yeah, I called him out on it. He's like, yeah, man, I'm right there with you. Like, let's go get some crack cookies after your appointment.
Yeah, man, I was thinking about that the other day. Apparently, it's a genetic thing. My dad is the same way my mom says. Oh, yeah. But if there's food, I just grab. Don't even think. Might not even be hungry. If there's food on the counter, I'm always grabbing and just zoning out, like even blacking out, like. And then I'll just be like, oh my gosh, what just happened? I'm surrounded in wrappers with chocolate all over my face. You know what I mean? So,
where did all of these taco shells come from?
What happened? What just happened? It's like those movies where the people zone out and become werewolves or whatever and wake up with blood all over them. We just wake up with chocolate all over us.
Barbecue sauce all over our face.
Hollywood, give us a call. We got a great idea for a movie. So,
what was that movie? Heavyweights. Did you watch that as a kid?
Yes, I love Heavyweights.
When what's his name, Nigel? The pudgy little
the British kid.
He like finally finds the stash of chocolate. He's like sitting there. It's like all over his face.
I need to rewatch that. That's a classic.
Oh man, that's one of Haley's favorites.
That's a good one.
We always joke about I'm going to buy, somewhere between 10 and 40 acres, and she's going to have her little hobby farm. Mm-hmm. I got her locked down. If I buy the land, I can totally have a go-kart track like they did on Heavyweights.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just, need an extra arm and a leg so I can sell them and
Sure.
buy 40 acres.
Or a kidney. You only need one kidney, I've heard. So
that's true.
And you could sell it as a highly evolved kidney.
Because it's a fat kidney.
Yes. I think that it'd be worth more.
I mean, it's definitely bigger.
I think so.
Like
I'm on board.
Special packaging.
Yep. I like it. Well,
on that note, until next time, I'm John.
I'm Mike.
And we're fat guys with smokers.
Thanks for listening to the Fat Guys with Smokers podcast. Be sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe so you don't forget to tune in for even more nonsense from a couple of Fat Guys with Smokers.
Don't forget to like, subscribe.